Sound check.
Recording in progress.
There'll now be a moment for silent prayer or meditation. Please, you may take your seats, honored members. Good to see you too. Honorable delegates, may I remind yourself that the rules, in particular the sub-rule 21, 22, and 23 of Rule 103 shall apply in this sitting. In accordance with the Council Rule 229, sub-rule 1, there will be no notices of motion or motions without notice. Before we could proceed to questions, I'd like to take this opportunity and welcome the Deputy President in the House, all permanent delegates, the MECs, the speakers, the deputy speakers, and the chief whips, the SALGA representatives that have joined in virtually as well, and your good selves, honorable permanent delegates. Further, I would also like to remind delegates that in terms of Rule 229 of the Council rules, the time for reply by the Deputy President to question is 5 minutes. Only 4 supplementary questions will be allowed per question. A member who has asked the initial question would be afforded an opportunity to first ask a supplementary question. The time for asking a supplementary question, honorable delegates, is 2 minutes, and accordingly, the Deputy President will be afforded 4 minutes to reply to the follow-up question. I also want to indicate that those supplementary questions must emanate from the initial question that was posed before the Deputy President. Having said that, honorable delegates, I now take this opportunity and invite the Deputy President to respond to question number 19, which is asked by our Chief Whip, Honorable Moimang. The question is in relation with the expanding public-private partnership investment. Over to you, Deputy President. You may take the podium.
Honorable Chairperson, allow me to begin by observing that today marks the beginning of the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children campaign, which will take place between the 25th of November and 10th December of this year. I urge all members to get involved. Thank you, Honorable Moimang, for this crucial question. Indeed, many of our municipalities are grappling with challenges related to the provision of water and sanitation due to a combination of factors, and this includes poor governance, lack of technical and administrative capacity, inadequate infrastructure investments, poor maintenance, and financial mismanagement. The Department of Water and Sanitation reports that there has been a severe decline in the capacity of many municipalities to deliver water to communities. In a decline in the national average for reliability to 68% and deteriorating water quality in about 60% of water supply systems. I must highlight that government is taking decisive steps to resolve the systemic issues that continue to hinder reliable provision of water and sanitation services to local communities. Through the Water Task Team, we are tackling water security challenges by improving infrastructure, reforming institutions, and expediting project management in a coordinated approach. The Water and Sanitation Indaba held in March of this year proposed key interventions aimed at addressing the challenges of water provision and continuous disintegration of critical water infrastructure. Amongst others, key recommendations included increased investments through financing options and ensuring the financial viability of the sector. In addition, the Department of Water and Sanitation has established a Water Partnership Office housed at the Development Bank of Southern Africa to help municipalities prepare projects for private sector investment. Through this office, the department is already implementing several public-private partnerships, such as the Olifants River Management Model Program. This program has been introduced to address the bulk water needs, particularly within the Limpopo province, to facilitate economic development and the delivery of bulk raw water to municipalities. This model is based on a 50-50 public-private partnership where 50% of the cost of the project is contributed by the mining companies and 50% is funded by government through water infrastructure grants and from the budget facility for infrastructure. Furthermore, the Department of Water and Sanitation, water boards, and water service authorities are working to increase collaboration with the Infrastructure Fund to put in place more blended finance water projects. And this will be done over the next 3 years. Honorable Chairperson, in conclusion, government is aware of and is responding to corruption and criminality associated with water tanker operations. In this regard, National Treasury has issued a circular cautioning municipalities against long-term reliance on water tankers, which can only be used, or which rather should only be used as temporary emergency measures. As government, we call for increased community participation in protecting critical infrastructure. We also urge communities to report suspicious activities and embrace the culture of whistleblowing to expose criminal networks and corruption within the water sector. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I now afford Honorable Mimang to ask a supplementary question.
Thank you, Chairperson of the National Council of Province. Greetings to yourselves, to the Deputy President and my esteemed honorable members, and the Baha'i Barnaka Kakarecho. Thank you, Honorable Deputy President, for the comprehensive response that re-emphasized that integrating private sector capabilities into public projects can lead to significant improvements in efficiency and quality in the provision of water and sanitation services. Of course, the biggest challenge that we have, DP, relates to the persistent skill shortage that has to be addressed. The question that I want to ask, in addition to the model that the DP alluded to in Limpopo, is whether are there other triple Ps or public-private partnership that are in place to assist with the water crisis, and to what extent is the public-private partnership unit assisting in providing a more transparent framework for triple Ps, but also to strengthen capacity at local government level and provincial level to manage public-private partnership infrastructure projects. Thank you, Deputy President. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mwima. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Mwima, for the follow-up. Let me start with the capacity. One of the things that the department has done, in addition to the office that I indicated that they have established to help municipalities, they came up with what they call the Government Technical Advisory Center, GTEC, which has a dedicated public-private partnership advisory unit. So they use this as a mechanism to assist municipalities to be able to do their proper planning, but also to deal with a number of issues to assist municipalities to conserve water and ensure that we deal with the loss of water, including non-revenue water. Other projects, there are a number of projects, Honorable Mwima, so I'm not going to be able to mention all of them in the short space of time, but we do have projects at the moment in the city of Johannesburg, city of Cape Town, and cities or towns like Langeberg, local municipality. Then in the Northern Cape as well, there are projects like Valhamahara water supply scheme that is in place. And then, of course, there are bigger projects that we are doing in this approach of triple Ps, like the Lesotho Highlands water projects and Umkomazi water projects. So the projects are quite many that are unfolding, and we can send you this information if you require it to your office, because there are quite a number of them. But thank you very much for the question, and thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We are now proceeding to the follow-up question that is going to be asked by Honorable Swart.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chairperson. Good afternoon, Deputy President, and welcome in the House. Deputy President, you've only touched on the second part of the question, that is the water tanker corruption practices that we see in our newspapers and on TV very often. That is a reality, and that is a growing challenge in our country. Deputy President, I've heard that you came and you spoke about solutions on water issues. Yet the water tanker corruption is thriving because your government refuses to criminally charge the officials involved, and that is where it starts. When will we see, Honourable Deputy President, the first arrest, and please name the municipalities where the task team has actually stopped water tanker corruption and collusion? Can you give this House just one successful case where it happened? Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Swart. Over to you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable Swart. I don't have details of cases as such, but I'm aware that in areas where this was rife, municipalities have intervened, like in the Northwest. The problem with water tankers is that, you remember there was a time when there is a problem of water, municipalities do require to bring water through water tankers. But as I said in my reply, this was supposed to be treated as an emergency temporary solution. But of course, because of corruption, people vandalize water infrastructure so that municipalities don't have an option but to continue to bring water tankers. But we now know that problem, and we've asked all municipalities to be vigilant to make sure that water infrastructure is protected. And where water infrastructure is protected, these cases of vandalism do decline. And as a result, municipalities don't need to continue to use water tankers. So it's something that we are dealing with. And once we have cases that we can cite, we'll be able to give you that information. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We are now proceeding to the follow-up question, which is asked by Honorable Suisa. She has joined in through the virtual platform. Over to you, Honorable Suisa.
No, thank you, Chairperson. Thank you. Greetings, Deputy President. DP, we have for over a decade consistently warned that public-private partnership often enriches a few while service delivery collapses and communities suffer. With little transfer of skills or long-term control, with the rampant corruption in water provision and the manipulation of the municipal system, has government considered scrapping or doing away with tenders and public-private partnership altogether and building a state capacity to deliver water and sanitation service delivery directly? And where private partnerships are involved, are there enforceable agreements ensuring compulsory skills transfer and full handover to the state after some time? If not, why not? Thank you, Chairperson. Apologies.
Thank you very much, Honorable Suisa. I hope, DP, I was a bit struggling to hear, and I'm not so sure with you. If you can, you may respond, but if you're not in a position, you can indicate so that I can ask the member to repeat. Over to you.
Let me try to what I thought I had. If I'm correct, Honorable Suisa, you were firstly talking about the issue of skills. I did say earlier that it is true that when you introduce triple Ps, you do need to have skills to do that. Triple Ps are not quite easy. They involve a lot of financial re-engineering, etc. So you do need skills. So I said, Honorable Suisa, that to that extent, the government technical advisory centers were established, and they have public-private partnership advisory units, which then assist municipalities to structure these deals. Secondly, Honorable Suisa was talking about triple Ps. Triple Ps are very important, Honorable Suisa, because what we are doing is to ensure that we bring necessary private sector finance or funding to be able to deal with the challenge of water. Some of the municipalities don't have enough revenue to be able to deal with this responsibility. National government, in many respects, comes in to be able to give support and funding, but when we bring in the private sector, we found that we can do much more to be able to deal with the issue of water. If you take projects like the Soto Highlands projects and others, they do require a lot of funding. But municipalities, particularly local ones, do need to be assisted. And that's where we come in as national government to support these municipalities and bring in the private sector. I hope that covers what you were asking, Honorable Suis, unless I didn't hear some of your issues. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
I'm covered, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable DP. I think you've covered him quite well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are now proceeding to the last follow-up question on this question, which is asked by Honorable Briet.
Thank you, Chairperson. Welcome back from COP. I hope it was successful. Honourable Deputy President, allow me just before I get to my question to say this. We were in Provincial Week last week and we visited the Free State colleagues here in front of me, multiple wastewater treatment works and water treatment works that were actually vandalized and were stolen bare. And I think the problem that we are seeing and facing in South Africa with vandalism is the fact that we have taught South Africans that if you are dissatisfied with something, you need to build and break, or you should not build, but you must break down and loot and vandalize. And I think that's something that we intrinsically need to talk about and to improve within the manner in which we go about our business. But Deputy President, you referred in your initial question to the Office of Water Partnerships, and you say that stakeholders will work together. But we all know the reality is water boards, municipalities, provinces, the Department of DWS are usually at odds and have not been working together. There's a lot of silo working, and this in a water scarce country like South Africa is very dangerous. Without clear accountability, technical capacity, and enforceable performance standards, cooperation simply does not materialize. Can you therefore specifically state which mechanisms the presidency or the deputy presidency will put in place to ensure that this cooperation happens, to ensure that triple Ps are not just plans on paper while water losses and infrastructure collapse continue? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Briet. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Briet, for that emphasis. The Water Partnership Office was designed particularly to be able to deal with the challenge you are raising. Housed at the DBSA brings the necessary capacity. So we did that deliberately because we needed capacity to help municipalities to prepare these projects. And without the capacity, they would not be able to succeed. As I said earlier, triple Ps, are very popular throughout the world because you crowd in private sector investments, but they are not very easy. Often you need advisors who must come in and deal with the complexities. So it is important to have this partnership office, which can then bring a lot of this capacity to bear for municipalities to be able to tap in and be able to deal with this triple Ps. As I said earlier, that we then ensured that there is this technical units that have been set up to then assist the municipalities to be able to do this. So it's not an easy intervention, but it's critical because it's bringing in those resources that otherwise government would not have, but they have to be structured properly. And that's the importance of having DBSA pulling this capacity together. So we will continue to review and see if we do need to bring other methods that will assist to perfect the situation. But at the moment is working, particularly the 50-50 model, where the private sector comes in with the 50 and then government with another 50, and then we bring those resources together. And we are succeeding at the moment in many of these projects. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable DP. Before we proceed to the next question, may I take this opportunity and acknowledge the presence of Manuku Makubela, who's the nephew of Honorable Mulukume, as well as her son, Katleho Mulukume. Can they rise so that we acknowledge them? Thank you for visiting us. Do enjoy yourself. We really appreciate it. We are now proceeding to the next question, which is question number 20. The question has been asked by Honorable Boshoff. She is asking DP if there is consistency in the manner in which you treat legislative initiatives. Over to you, Honorable DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The question raised by Honorable Boshoff is significant, as it affords us the opportunity to clarify the role of the leader of government business in the introduction of legislative proposals by the executive and the processing of draft legislation by Parliament. As such, the 7th administration is guided by
Can you hold on, DP? Can we request those who are managing the virtual platform to mute all the participants on the virtual platform? It cannot be that when the Deputy President is on podium, we continuously hear this disruption. Can you please manage the system? Thank you very much. Over to you. Sorry, DP.
Thank you. Implementation phase of the National Development Plan NDP 2030, with a focus on addressing the nation's core challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Equally, the legislative program is strategically structured around 3 main priorities, which are driving inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and tackling the high cost of living, and build a capable ethical developmental state. Therefore, bills and policy reforms are designed to deliver these outcomes across governance, the economy, and social welfare. Having said that, Honorable Chairperson, Section 852D of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa 1996 specified that the President exercises national executive authority along with other members of Cabinet by preparing and initiating legislation. In this regard, the leader of government business is responsible for the development of the legislative program of the executive and further monitors the implementation of this process by Parliament. Furthermore, Rules 272 and 273 of the National Assembly outlines procedures for the preparation of draft bills initiated by National Assembly and the NCOP members in their individual capacity, and the submission of legislative proposal for the introduction of bills initiated by committees of Parliament. Honourable Chairperson, while the leader of government business is responsible for the programming of parliamentary business initiated by the National Executive, in terms of the joint rules of Parliament, the leader of government business does not have control over the introduction and processing of bills initiated by MPs as private members' bills or those introduced by the committees of Parliament. However, we will support legislative proposals initiated by MPs as private members' bills or bills that are initiated by committees of Parliament, whether National Assembly or NCOP, provided that they align with the priorities of the government of national unity and are subject to adequate consultation and consensus. I thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable DP. Is there a follow-up question, Honourable Boshoff?
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you, Chair, and good afternoon, DP. Honourable Deputy President, you've just said now that all legislation is structured in such a way to build inclusive growth and job creation, to reduce poverty and create a capable state, and that you would support any bills initiated by MPs or committees, etc., etc. Now, if a bill is to be introduced that substantially improves economic well-being of South Africans, regardless of race, will the Deputy President support it, even if it is introduced by the Democratic Alliance? Thank you.
Over to you, Deputy President.
I've actually already answered this question that indeed, Honourable Boshoff, I will support any legislation that is introduced by members of Parliament, irrespective of any party they come from, as long as this legislation is aligned with our priorities. I think that was my answer. So don't worry, bring it on. We will look at it. If it's good, takes us forward, why not? We will support you. Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable DP. We're now proceeding to Honourable Dlangisa Notata.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Deputy President. Honourable Deputy President, while we recognize that legislative initiatives such as private members' bill serve as a vital constitutional mechanisms aimed at strengthening Parliament's legislative mandate and influencing government's policy by raising community and constituency issues on the national agenda, the political environment created by the establishment of the Government of National Unity promotes collaboration between parties, MPs, and government departments. My question, therefore, Deputy President, is whether there are plans or mechanisms in place to encourage better collaboration between government departments and MPs who seek to introduce private members' bill, ensuring that these bills become effective legislative tools to legislative gaps and produce legally and financially coherent, sound and implementable legislation that does not quietly die in committees. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Notata. Over to you, Deputy President.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable Notat. Indeed, I think it's important that we do coordinate our efforts. As I said, we want to support members to be able to introduce legislation that supports the work of the Government of National Unity. And perhaps I should say that legislation that is progressive and taking the country forward. One thing that we need to avoid, Honorable Nodada, is duplication. We don't want a situation where, as the executive introduce legislation, members of parliament also introduce similar legislation. It's something that we need to avoid. For example, the chief whip of the DA, Honorable George Mikalikis, introduced a local government municipal structure second amendment bill as a private member's bill, while at the same time, Cabinet had already approved for publication the amendment of the same legislation. So you see where the problem is, and members might then think that we don't support them. But once executive has introduced legislation, let's avoid introducing the same legislation. We have agreed as in a meeting of the leaders of the GNU that it's important that legislation should be aligned with the priorities of the government, and to the extent where we need to sift these issues and align them properly, we've got a clearinghouse mechanism that is able to do so. The good news is that at the meeting, at the retreat of the leaders of the GNU, the terms of reference of the clearinghouse were adopted, and it's all systems go now that we will attend to all matters that require consensus, and policy is one of them. Because once we can align how we implement our program and our priorities, we will be able to align the legislative program as well. But we do want members of parliament, National Assembly, NCOP to do initiate legislation that help take the work of government and our country forward. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to Honorable Kennedy to ask the question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, Minister. Deputy President.
Thank you.
Deputy President, as a leader of government business, you are meant to treat all legislative initiatives, regardless of their source, consistently. Yet observations indicate that some initiatives, for an example, private members' bill, are declared undesirable, delayed for years, or revived only after procedural lapses. While government bills move swiftly, sometimes bypassing proper scrutiny. Would you respond to these concerns by outlining transparent processes used by your office to ensure all legislative initiatives are considered fairly, and beyond introducing legislation, what steps are you taking to ensure interdepartmental coordination so that all passed laws are implemented effectively, consistently, and without the delays and failures that currently plague Parliament? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Kennedy. I'm sure, Honorable Kennedy, you are not saying these private members' bills are declared undesirable by me. For sure, it's not me. Because remember, Parliament has got its own processes. So when you initiate legislation here, in Parliament, whether National Assembly or NCOP, the leader of government business has no jurisdiction to block or give approval to that legislation, because the leader of government business is responsible for business of government, the legislative program of government, not of MPs. MPs have got chief whips, they are presiding officers, they are committees of parliament. I will never block you because I don't have jurisdiction at all. But your last part was saying, can I come up with mechanism to deal with that problem? We do meet with presiding officers, and I'm sure together we can look at it to see. I will indicate to the presiding officers that you have raised this concern. And together we'll discuss it and see where is the problem in the processes of Parliament, where members feel that their initiatives are being blocked. But it's certainly not the leader of government business doing that. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We are now taking the last follow-up question, which is from Honorable Mhlongo.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon to you, DP. DP, given your assurance that all legislative proposals are treated equally, can you point to any bill in this 7th administration originating either from a private member or committee that received the same urgency, resources, and institutional support routinely afforded to the executive bills? Because from where we sit, the pattern in this House shows a clear premium placed on the cabinet-driven legislation, while committee bills and private members are too often relegated to the margins through delays, prolonged legal vetting, or creative prioritization processes. Thank you.
Thanks, Honourable Member. Over to you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable Mhlongo. It's quite clear that there is concern about legislation initiated.
Honourable members, can we once again request that we respect the decorum of the House? We are in a formal sitting of the House, and therefore it shall be respected. We read earlier on the rules and the sub-rules that applies in this House, and therefore it cannot be that from time to time, when the DP is responding to very crucial questions that affects the people of South Africa, someone would interject in a very clandestine, erratic way. Please mute yourself, and can we request that administration of the NCOP assist us in this regard? We're hoping it's happening for the last time, or we'll have no choice but to lock out everyone in the virtual platform. Over to you, Honourable DP. So once again,
yes,
we profusely apologize.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I was saying, Honourable Mhlongo, that I can say that this is quite a burning issue where members of Parliament, whether National Assembly or NCOP, feel that their initiatives on legislation are being relegated back. It's something that we can discuss with the programming committee, because remember, even the leader of government business has to go through that process. Legislation from the executive doesn't just get prioritized. We go through that same process. When members of the executive want legislation to go through, I negotiate with the presiding officers, but through the programming committee. And we can discuss it there. Maybe that's what I should say, that when I meet with the programming committee, I'll raise this issue that it does seem that members feel that we are blocking them. Their legislation is not prioritized. But it will not be intentional, I believe, by the programming committee if legislation is there to enhance and improve our work, ensure that we can fast-track implementation and transformation. We'll definitely want it to go through. But perhaps give us a chance to check what the problem is. Certainly nobody has brought this to my attention before now, that there is a problem when members initiate legislation. They feel that they are relegated back. They shouldn't be. If that makes sense, it's good legislation, it's going to help the country, we will look into the matter. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to question number 21, which is asked by Honorable Makesini to the Deputy President. The question, Deputy President, is in relation with you being the chairperson of Water Task Team. Are there any measures that you've implemented to address the acute water shortages, particularly in townships and rural areas? Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me thank Honorable Makesini for ensuring that we keep addressing this important issue that has to do with water. Indeed, many of our rural municipalities are dependent on conditional grant funding to provide basic services to poor households. However, through the Municipal Infrastructure Grant, MIC, which is the largest conditional grant government provides approximately 54%, about 9.5 billion rand per annum, of the annual grant allocation to implement water services infrastructure project, especially in rural parts of our country. The MIC is implemented by 217 municipalities, which include 127 water service authorities. As indicated above, this intervention is mainly in rural areas of our country. To this end, Chairperson, on the 1st of August 2025, together with the Minister of Water and Sanitation and the Premier of the Northwest Province, we had an opportunity to hand over 25 milliliters Moretele South Bulk Water Supply Reservoir in the Dilopwe, Moretele local municipality. This project is part of an integrated service delivery outreach program aimed at improving water supply reliability to communities in villages around Moretele local municipality in the Northwest Province. To implement this and other similar projects, government has committed to spend over 940 billion rand on infrastructure over the next 3 years, with a portion specifically earmarked for water-related projects. Honorable Chairperson, securing reliable water, bulk water supply, and improving sanitation infrastructure is a critical focus area for us. This work includes bulk water augmentation. As such, we are focusing on upgrading the Amatola Water Bulk Water Augmentation Program that is currently underway. This project will ultimately benefit rural communities through improved water security and socio-economic development. We are also investing generally in water and sanitation infrastructure restoration. Hence, together with the Tshwane Metropolitan Municipality, work is currently in progress to upgrade the Rooival wastewater treatment works. This is an example of an extension project aimed at improving water and sanitation services. However, for overall response to access quality water, the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority, TCTA, is making significant progress on the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, which I mentioned earlier, which is now in phase 2, which is a major water transfer scheme essential for water security, which benefits provinces like Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and the Northern Cape. Chairperson, government remains committed to improve the provision of reliable water supply, especially in townships and rural areas. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. The first follow-up question is from Honorable Makesini.
Thank you, Chairperson. DP, municipality like Makana, Maluta Pufong, and Nketwane have enjoyed for years of unreliable water, no water supply, with temporary relief only through the intervention of the organizations such as the Gift of the Givers. Even after the government officials have visited and made promises, moreover, millions have been spent on taps and water infrastructure across the rural area townships, across those municipalities and those provinces. Yet, much of it lies abandoned and deliberate sabotage in favor of water mafia. How is the water tax team ensuring that millions spent of water infrastructure were not in vain, and what accountability mechanisms are in place for officials or actors who manipulate the water crisis for personal gains? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makesini. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Makesini. As I indicated, most of the municipalities have the challenges that you are relating because of lack of funding to maintain water infrastructure, apart, of course, from the problem of the water mafias that you have mentioned. I have been in the Free State myself, even to places like Jakarfontein, Mangaung. We're going to try and focus a lot in the Free State because of the challenges you are raising. We are aware of them. And recently I was in Mangaung, and I actually went there to as part of our cleaning campaign, but I'm now focusing a lot in the Free State because of these challenges to help those municipalities to be able to deal with these responsibilities. The process that we are dealing with in the security cluster to deal with the water mafia will also use it in the Free State, so that we allow those municipalities to provide basic services like water without the mafia roaming around. So I take your point that Free State needs attention, and we're definitely going to spend a lot of time there. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable DP. We're now proceeding to Honorable Mulukume.
Deputy President. Deputy President, while the challenge of water access in South Africa are worsened by poor settlement arrangements that have placed communities in isolation areas for basic services, along with aging and inadequate infrastructure, the reality remains that water scarcity is intensified by climate change. My question, DP, is that what mechanisms are in place to address the growing problems of non-revenue water as a result of water loss to leaks, theft through illegal connections, meter inaccuracies and billing errors, and also ensure that where communities has benefited from projects such as groundwater interventions programs, and also the program of Medzibu Pelo boreholes project that plays a crucial role to improve water access and also supply to remote and isolated areas. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mulukume. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Mulukume, thank you for that question. As I always say, water is life. So this is a very important issue that we really must prioritize. In fact, in the recent government Lekgotla decision was taken with the emphasis from the president that we need to treat water as priority, one of the priorities in the work that we do. Now, in many municipalities, there is a problem of non-revenue water. In the past, I was struggling to understand it myself. What is this non-revenue water? But basically what they mean is that there's a lot of water that they lose that they are not getting the revenue from. But remember, they pay for it. The municipality will pay rent water for that water, but almost 40% of it that they've paid for, they will not regain that money because it's lost. So you're quite right. The municipalities, especially in the metros now, I don't know if they've rolled it out to local municipalities, but they've introduced what they call no-drop program. So they've come up with a mechanism that has introduced some data knowledge that helps them to able to check how they are losing water and how they can prevent it. One of the biggest problems we've noticed is that it's a result of old infrastructure. If you go to municipalities, you can easily find that some of the pipes were laid 30 years ago. They've never been replaced, and so on. So, but they need to know where the pipes are, and so on. So this no-drop program is an intervention that they are coming with to stop that, because we're losing a lot of water through leakages. So it is being addressed. It will take a bit of time because then you need new infrastructure, so to speak. I know that in some of municipalities, they are even changing those pipes. I think these days they use a plastic one instead of a steel one. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it does seem like the plastic one is more durable compared to the steel one because it rusts and so on. But I've seen a lot of municipalities where I stay in Johannesburg, I've seen them putting in new pipes a lot in areas where we stay, and I'm sure might be happening elsewhere. Lastly, on Medzibu Pelo, yes, in some instances we have urged municipalities to use borehole water. So there are a lot of projects now. So Medzibu Pelo is really a part of that to ensure that we use bore water to augment the supply of water in certain parts of our country, particularly in rural areas. There are areas where there is a lot of water, but people can't access it. But if you use boreholes, you are then able to access that water. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. We are now proceeding to Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Chair. Deputy President, thank you for your reply, and indeed, water is life and more precious than gold. During my recent oversight in Emakazeni, and that's in Mpumalanga, I found communities experiencing entrenched water shedding, severely unreliable supply, and water quality concerns that raise real public health risks. I heard of residents having to drink from the same pit as cattle. And Deputy President, this is totally unacceptable. Given that your delegated role as chair of the Water Task Team speaks directly to such failures, will you please confirm whether your interventions will include publicly available municipal turnaround plans with clear fixed timelines, specifically for municipalities where water shedding and poor quality are already the norm, especially in light of your statement that government has put aside 940 billion that will be spent on infrastructure over the next 3 years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Boshoff. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Boshoff, thank you for the question. If I heard you well, you said in Mpumalanga. Where in Mpumalanga?
Through you, Chair, Emakazeni, that is the Dullstroom, Waterfall, Boven, Belfast area.
Oh, Dullstroom. No, thank you very much. This is helpful. The reason I'm asking is because I am going to be in Mpumalanga in the next few weeks on an outreach program, and we will have to check that, because I agree with you. I mean, human beings must not drink water where animals drink. It's not right. So we will have to address that. And thank you for bringing it to my attention, because as a chairperson of the Water Task Team, those are the things that the President wants me to investigate so that we can intervene. It is true that there are areas where there's shortage of clean drinkable water, but if the municipalities alert us, we can intervene as national government rather than leave people to drink water with cattle. So we will check that challenge there. If you can send to my office more information on that, so that when I'm in Mpumalanga, I'm able to check this problem so that we can attend to it quickly. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. May I proceed to Honorable Peter?
Esihlalo wendlu Manbulise, Sekela Mongameli, uMzantsi Afrika, Moholo Mongameli.
Moholo.
Honorable Deputy President, when I raised this crisis of water collapse in Kwamakoma and Makanda on the 29th of May, 2025, during an appearance in this House, you promised an urgent intervention through the relevant minister and your team in the presidency. May I ask, Honorable President, I now ask again, Deputy President, what concrete steps have been taken since to stabilize the disaster? And how are you ensuring that the constitutional right of residents in these areas and across the Eastern Cape to access water is no longer being violated? Nkosi Mongameli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Peter. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Peter, I'll have to check with the Minister of Water, progress on that matter. I was in the Eastern Cape recently, but I ended up in Kuno. Kuno. You know where President Mandela comes from, that area. They also had a problem of water, so we went there and we got it fixed. So I'm going to check what has happened to this one. I've not been able to go to that area, but we can check what the problem is. The minister is certainly aware, and if you say they have not intervened yet, we will make sure that they do, because it's different challenges. When we were in Kuno, we found that that area they were using borehole, but I think the equipment that they had were not up to scratch. But the Department of Water intervened. Both the minister and the deputy minister were there with me, and by the time we left, in fact, as I arrived there, the system was already working. So we will look at, you said Kwamakama, the Kwamakoma. Okay, let me get it right so that I can ask my office to check. What I do sometime, because it's very difficult to be everywhere. So I've got a team that goes out. In fact, one of them is here, Masuku Mabakbon. Yeah, there is the tall man. So what I do, and you see he's listening as he's sitting there. So as soon as we live here, in the next few days, he will be there in that area and will give me a report. And if I need to go, I'll go. But rest assured, we will get this attended to, because I think it's important that we do assist people when it comes to issue of water. When we say water is life, we mean it. It's not a slogan. People can't live. You have to cook, you have to wash. So if you have no access to water, how do you live? So my team will be there quite soon, and we will make sure we intervene. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Would request that Honorable Peters give us the exact location in Kwamakoma so that the Deputy President can expedite that visit. Same goes with Honorable Boshoff, the exact location. If I could just be finished with that we can hand it over right away to the Deputy President. As he lives here, he has that information with him. That then takes us to the next question, which is asked by Advocate Nkosi Nonkonyane. The question, Deputy President, is question number 22. It's in relation with the measures that are put in place in addressing systemic issues in policing and justice system. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President. I'm going to afford you an opportunity, Honorable Nkosiyam, ithuba lokuthi umbuze umbuzo. Ungaqhuba, Deputy President.
Mandukuphendula kuqala Nkosiyam. Beso yangena. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me thank Nkosi Nkonyana for raising this matter, which is troubling many communities. Government, through what we call the Cabinet Committee on Justice, Crime Prevention and Security, JCPS, as well as the National Security Council, which is led by the President, is implementing measures to address systemic weaknesses in policing, also weaknesses in the justice system and the entire security cluster, which hinder the effective arrest prosecution and conviction of perpetrators of gang violence. To this end, Honorable Chairperson, government is investing in an integrated, intelligence-driven approach. This strategy will ensure that gangs and criminal networks are investigated, neutralized, and dismantled. Furthermore, the South African Police Service is currently implementing the National Anti-Gang Strategy. They are already doing this in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and Gauteng. And this is to ensure that we combat gangsterism. This strategy aims to dismantle criminal networks through methods like intelligence-led operation, proactive policing, but also community engagement. The rollout includes expanding the scope of anti-gang units to cover crimes such as drug trafficking, shootings, and murders in these provinces. Gang-related crime is a key element of SAP's Operation Shanyela, which focuses on the immediate stabilization of violent crime through weekly intelligence-led high-density operations. Operation Shanyela involves collaboration with various law enforcement agencies, key departments, and civil society partners. This strategy seeks to address crime in the top 30 plus 5 high crime contributing stations, recognizing that these areas contribute significantly to the overall crime rate in the country. In this regard, the National Crime Combating Forum has directed provinces to develop and implement annual interventions, or rather intervention plans, and give reasons for non-achievement. These plans aim to eliminate immediate threats posed by crime and gangs in identified high crime areas while fostering a safe and secure environment for long-term stability. Honorable Chairperson, accelerating the processing of court cases and strengthening delivery of criminal justice are also critical in restoring and sustaining public confidence in the justice system. In this regard, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has established case flow management committees in all courts, which include representatives from the department itself, the NPA as well. These committees manage the progression of cases by setting goals, exchanging expertise, and coordinating efforts to ensure that cases are finalized efficiently. The department has also established national case backlog committees consisting of the Judiciary, NPA, Legal Aid South Africa, the Office of the Chief Justice, and SAPS. South African Police is finalizing the transitional organized crime strategy as well. In conclusion, government will continue to implement a combination of integrated strategy, operational, prosecutorial, and judicial measures to close systemic gaps that have long enabled gang leaders and other perpetrators to evade arrest and evade accountability. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Inkosi nonkonyana sethuba lakho manje lokuphakamisa umbuzo.
Ngiyabonga, Madam Chair. Thank you, Honorable Deputy President, for your response. Deputy President, the ANC is concerned about the gang violence. That has a devastating effect on communities, as you correctly pointed out, causing physical and emotional trauma, fear, and the breakdown of necessary social and economic stability. In many cases, the cycle of violence also fosters a violent culture and a cycle of fear that prevents community members from seeking help. And it has particularly severe long-term impact on children and youth. What makes dealing with gang violence even more complex is that South Africa's law enforcement landscape has traditionally been characterized by fragmentation across various policing agencies and levels of government. My question, therefore, to you, Honorable Deputy President, is what plans are in place in the government in implementing and to address the fragmentation in policing strategies across provinces, such as the Western Cape and Gauteng, to enhance coordination and consolidate policing resources to combat crime, gang violence, and to imprison gang leaders and their supporters? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nonkonyane. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Nkosi Nkonyan. I can't agree with you more. I think all of us would agree that, gang violence is causing a lot of trauma in communities, and it's something that we must deal with decisively. One of the weaknesses is really the problem of coordination, which you are mentioning. It's important that the security cluster coordinates the intervention. And we have realized that where we have this coordination, we have better results because you have the Justice Crime Prevention cluster pulling together, and we've created what is now commonly known as net joints, where you bring the security cluster, the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure. They gather intelligence, and then they also make sure that the other parts of the criminal justice system are part of that. I think that's the way in which we can beat this cry. Because once you have intelligence, it means you'll go for the right targets, and then you will effect arrests. And once you effect arrests, when you have correct information, you can ensure prosecution and sentencing. Because if the criminal justice system is not effective working together, you may find that police arrest someone, but tomorrow you see them back in the streets. So it's important that we do strengthen that coordination. It is happening now through the JCPS cluster and net joints, and making sure that, as you say, we need to take it down to provinces because a lot of this is happening in the provinces. So we need to make sure that this strategy of integrated policing is taken down to provinces. We're doing that as we speak. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to Honorable Gotso.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Deputy President. It's heartwarming to hear the actions taken by government, Deputy President, and especially taking it down to the provinces. But despite Operation Chanela and now Chanela 2, which is operating in the Western Cape, Gauteng, and KZN, 400 people were murdered in the Western Cape just last month. 39 people were murdered on the Cape Flats just last week. But government still refuses to expand policing powers to enable the City of Cape Town's Metro to deploy its investigative and intelligence capacity. Now, this means that your government is turning away real help while communities on the Cape Flats are slaughtered. Deputy President, I want to ask you today, our communities need all the help they can get. Will you undertake in this House today to urgently consider this offer by the City of Cape Town as part of the measures and the steps that you've spoken of today to help address the gang wars and the violent crimes that we see on the Cape Flats every day?
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Godson. The strategy of net joints obviously requires integration with provinces. And once they go into provinces, obviously they go into municipalities. So if the Western Cape or the city of Cape Town have got capability to work with net joints, I'm sure they won't chase you away. I will engage with them because surely that resource is needed. But of course, there are protocols. One thing I've learned with the security cluster, there are protocols. So that resource is needed, but it probably has to be executed in a particular way. And maybe that's where the problem is. You don't just wake up and say, hey, man, I've got intelligence here. I think there's a way in which it has to be done. We will check with them because I agree with you that if there's capacity, let's use it. Yeah, so we'll integrate it into the operations of net joints. And I think once you do that, I don't think there'll be a problem because I think that's what should happen everywhere. I myself found that when I was the MEC for Safety and Security in Gauteng, I realized that the best way of fighting crime was to focus on prevention, but also working with communities. And we took it upon ourselves to bring in the community policing forum, and we introduced sector policing and visible policing. But we couldn't do it alone. We had to work with communities, we had to work with municipalities. I went to the Joburg Metro and said, look, you have these traffic officers, let's try and integrate them as well, train them in such a way that they can fight crime as well. And we're able to do that. So let's welcome the resource and let's process it with net joints. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. We are now proceeding to Honorable Gerike, who has joined in on the virtual platform.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Deputy President. I must say you use a very beautiful word, integrate, instead of devolving power. Devolution of power is very, very dangerous, specifically when people are not trained to use that power. Deputy President, gang violence is a national crisis, but nowhere more brutal than the Western Cape, where over 400 people were murdered in a single month. This is an outright massacre. Across the country, from the Cape Flats to Gqeberha, Alorado Park and parts of KwaZulu-Natal, gang leaders continue to walk free while communities suffer and fend for themselves. When the EFF called for urgent national intervention, several parties in this House rejected our motion. As Chair of the Cabinet Committee on Crime Prevention and Security, how will you ensure that these measures actually dismantle gangs and fix the systemic failures in policing and prosecution? And what concrete steps are being taken currently to ensure the swift arrest and conviction of prominent gang leaders so that South Africans never again face the scale of lawlessness and bloodshed? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gerike. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I welcome the follow-up question by Honorable Gerike. Obviously, this is a very serious matter. I mean, Honorable Godsell was saying 400 people were killed recently. I think you said in the Cape Flats or in the Western Cape. So it is a serious matter that requires urgent intervention. And that's why I'm urging that we should all work together. We will get net joints to focus on all provinces. We should not leave any province behind. There are murders, rapes in different provinces. So let's work together. Let's coordinate our efforts. That's why I use the word integrate, the integrated approach, intelligence-driven. If we do that, we will beat criminality. We will beat criminals. Many of our municipalities, like the metros, of course, do have their own metro police. We need to integrate our efforts, work together. But there's nothing that beats intelligence-driven approach, because then you are not fishing in the dark. You know exactly what you're looking for. And Honorable Gerike will extend these operations throughout the country. We will work with everybody, including with CPFs. Because, people who are involved in criminality, you often find them in our areas. They are cousins, some of them, they are brothers and sisters. They are there, they are known. And often we close our eyes. But if we work together, communities must help the police, because sometimes they know where these people are. But I think the overriding approach is integration, coordination, intelligence-driven. If we work like that, I can assure you we will beat crime in this country. I'm confident about that. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. The next follow-up question is from Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Chairperson. Welcome, Deputy President. Let me start by appreciating your symbolic tie that you stand against the fight of GBVF. One would want to appreciate your response with regards to intelligence-driven approach. Our communities want to see convictions and sentencing of criminals and gangsterisms. My question is, what measures is the government taking to strengthen the investigation capacity of the police to ensure that the state goes to court with watertight dockets to ensure that these gangsters and gang leaders are only convicted but also serve lengthy sentences? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mananiso. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mananiso. Thank you. Indeed, the point I was making earlier is that we really need to coordinate our interventions. There's nothing that beats that. Net Joints has a lot of plans now, but what we do, we get information from provinces so that we are able to design the interventions, take into account the reality of our province. You also mentioned just now the issue of GBV is also a very serious issue. During this coming weeks, when we will be dealing with the campaign on the 16 days of violence against women and children, 16 days of activism, we will be focusing on the issue of gender-based violence. But on the issue of coming with plans, I agree with you. We must tighten up those plans, coordinate properly, have proper intelligence, but work as a whole of government. We must not work in silos, work as a whole of government. but with communities as well. We often leave communities behind, but communities are a big resource in the fight against crime, very big resource. Let's not leave them behind. Let's bring them in. Let's work with them. So I agree with you that we need to tighten up coordination and make sure that our interventions are effective. And once we do that, we will succeed. I mean, it will take time, but we must also educate the young ones as well in schools. You know, some of the people who are involved in gender-based violence and criminality, you know, they inherited this from a young age because we don't educate our children about the dangers of drugs, the dangers of all these things. So it's a big initiative that must involve communities, must involve education. A lot of violence against women and children happen in households. So we need to educate our children whilst they are still young about the dangers of violence, of GBV and all that. But when it comes to your question, coordination, I agree, we will tighten coordination and make sure that we work as a whole of government to deal with the scourge of violence, any form of violence. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We will now proceed to question number 23, which is asked by Honorable van den Berg, and unfortunately, he is unable to ask the follow-up question. He has since requested Honorable Briet to stand in on his behalf. The question is about debt relief mechanisms for municipalities. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me welcome this question by Honorable van der Berg, focusing on service delivery. As Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, one of my key responsibilities assigned by the President is to focus on improving service delivery and realizing the district development model, which in essence is a whole of government approach in improving service delivery of the entire government. As such, together with COCTA, National Treasury and other critical departments, I have been focusing on improving the functionality of municipalities as well as addressing community concerns. Together with the ministers who serve in the Service Delivery Interministerial Committee, we have been advocating and implementing several measures to tackle the escalating municipal debt and service delivery failures, particularly in under-resourced municipalities like the Solplaki local municipality. The National Treasury has introduced a municipal debt relief package for municipalities owing to large sums of money to ESCOM and water boards. This is because we are aware that as of June 2025, municipal debt to water boards stood at 25.1 billion rands. Hence, part of the plan, amongst others, is to top slice transfers. This would mean National Treasury will withhold equitable share transfers from a non-complying municipality and redirect funds to settle debt with service providers. This is a corrective action intended to enforce financial accountability and ensure essential services continue to be provided by bulk suppliers like water boards and ESCOM. Through the debt relief package, municipalities are encouraged to enter into structured payments agreement, which include payment plans for historic debt and ring-fencing of disputed amounts for resolution. Non-compliance may lead to cancellation of this allocated relief. Honorable Chairperson, Operation Vulindlela Phase 2, government has launched reforms to local government funding model. This work includes the review of the 1998 white paper on local government to improve governance and financial sustainability of municipalities. Through the Metro Trading Services Program, we are targeting 8 metros to improve financial and technical performance. We have been doing this since July of this year. Furthermore, through the Clean Cities and Towns campaign, as part of the whole of government approach, we are investing in improving service delivery as well as municipal accountability. Infrastructure upgrades in Solplaki local municipality are being funded through a combination of national, provincial, and municipal resources, with a strong emphasis on conditional grants, capital injection, and oversight mechanism to ensure accountability. We are working with National Treasury and the Premier of the Northern Cape to fund and support infrastructure development at Solplaki municipality. As such, National Treasury has allocated 2.5 billion rand through the budget facility for infrastructure over 7 years to address water infrastructure in the province. This investment includes refurbishment of pipelines, upgrade to water treatment works, pressure management, and leak detection. Equally, Solplaki municipality has committed over 500 million rand for infrastructure upgrades in their 2025-2026 financial year. This is dedicated towards electrification of underserved areas, sewer pump station upgrades, road and reservoir improvements, and redevelopment of public facilities like the RC Elliott Hall. National Treasury will continue to monitor municipalities to ensure response use of relief funds and prevention of wasteful expenditure. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. I now afford Honorable Breed an opportunity to ask a supplementary question.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, thank you for your answer, but I don't think it gets to the crux of the problem in Solplaki and the rest of our municipalities. Although it's good that the government is actually taking steps with municipalities that are not being compliant and not doing as they are supposed to, withholding equitable share also has one important negative along with the positives, and that is that municipalities become consultant reliant, as we've seen in the past and as we've seen in this past year, and that necessarily also needs to be addressed. Furthermore, your answer now says that you will continue looking at conditional grants and the rest. We cannot have municipalities be grant reliant the whole time, because then we are not going to get anywhere. We're just going to continue relying on equitable shares, continuing to be reliant on national, and that's not going to work. Deputy President, for more than 30 years, municipalities like Solplaki have collapsed under ANC failure to maintain infrastructure and the political culture of non-payment that national leadership has openly encouraged. The Auditor General reports continue to show that the biggest driver of municipalities' debt is not poverty, but a growing refusal to pay for services, including the non-payment of government departments themselves. If the presidency wants to stabilize municipalities, what concrete steps will government take to restore the culture of payment in communities and personal responsibilities so that municipalities have an actual revenue base and not just grants on which maintenance and service delivery can be dependable? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks, Honorable Brett. Over to you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable van den Berg. There are a number of interventions we are busy with to assist municipalities. I agree with you, Honorable Van Beek, that we should not just rely on grants. Obviously, our municipal system has been such that municipalities should generate own revenue. And that has been the case over years. But there are municipalities where there is no reliable tax base, no industry, and it becomes very difficult for them to survive. And that might necessitate in the future that we review and look at the entire system of local government so that you don't have municipalities that, are not viable. So that's what we must do to ensure that municipalities must be able to raise own revenue, so that grants should just be interventions where necessary, or where national government has imposed additional responsibilities on municipalities. We must ensure that we fund that as national government. But for their own operations, they should raise own revenue. But we should see these mechanisms as really intervention that should take us to the ideal. Before we reach to the ideal, we can't leave them because people live in these areas. If national government washes its hands and say, okay, your municipality see to finish, that won't be correct. It is true that we have seen a lot of municipalities collapsing, amongst others, because lack of tax base, in some instances, corrupt activities that have crept in. So we need to address all those issues. One of the issues that the president has raised on a number of occasions is that we need to gradually return to insourcing. You have raised this concern about many municipalities spend a lot of resources bringing consultants, to do things for them. We need to build inside capacity where municipalities can take responsibilities for managing their towns and cities. There will be instances where they do need professional skills that they must insource, that they must bring in. But we want to see municipalities reducing, outsourcing everything to private companies. They must create capacity inside to be able to deal with their work. So I agree with you that we need to look at the cause of collapse of municipalities. Where it's corruption, we must act decisively. The ANC has been doing that in many municipalities of late, where they will change mayors, remove people who are messing up, to ensure that we address these challenges. We are doing it, but let's help municipalities where they don't have tax base. Let's try and carry them along. In the long run, as I said, we might even merge some of the municipalities to ensure viability. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to the follow-up question from Honorable Mabilo.
No, thank you very much, DP. I'm deeply excited coming from Solplaiki Municipality that you are assisting. That's quite a strategic intervention by government, and that is a step in the right direction. Thank you, Chair. Deputy President, the 2024 States SA Financial Census of Municipalities estimated that a total liabilities for South Africa's 257 municipalities at 386 billion. And DP has already mentioned the amount owed to the water boards, which is about 25 billion. It is also important to note that a national report from March 2024 stated that the government departments owed municipalities a total of 22 billion, which impacts directly on their cash flow and service delivery capacity. Through the Chair, DP, my question is whether the government is considering developing a robust and effective intergovernmental debt management plan or mechanism to improve the payment for services between government departments, entities, and agencies. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mabilo. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Mabilo. And I'm glad that you think we are doing something in Sol Plaque. We're going to do more to get the place right. Let me just say that I think it is essential that we strengthen the entire intergovernmental debt management approach or architecture. We know that in some instances you'll find that ESCOM will write off, and so there are different ways in which there have been interventions. But our approach is that let's work with National Treasury so that we deal with this approach to debt in a way that is coordinated, because some of the municipalities can pay. And I know recently, Joburg, Tshwane, and some of the big metros have been able to deal with their historic debt. But in some instances, ESCOM say, okay, you owe us 500 million, but if you promise that from now on you will pay properly, let's see how we deal with the historic debt. Of course, ESCOM can continue to write off all the water boards as well, because they need those resources. But it's important that we also deal with the culture of non-payment, if I was to call it the culture. It's something that we must deal with and ensure that people pay for services. But to do so, municipalities need to put in systems that will ensure reliability. One of them is prepaid meters, where you buy, you consume. If you finish consuming, you have to go and buy. The old system that you just get supplied, you don't pay, it's not working. So municipalities are looking at those things. And we will, through the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act, we are also looking at these interventions and how we coordinate them. But I'm definitely sure that if municipalities introduce these measures, they will be able to collect revenue. The problem is that the lack of payment is not only households, it's also companies. And that's why we need to ensure that we intervene decisively. Even with government departments, sometimes you find that government departments themselves owe municipalities. So we need to have a very comprehensive approach of intervening to manage this debt and make sure that our municipalities are viable. We can do it. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We are now proceeding to Honorable Vadenhorst.
Afternoon, Deputy President.
Good afternoon, Honorable Vadenhorst.
Deputy President, it's fact that DA-run municipalities have collection rates above 90%. While Sol Plaatje, where Honourable Mabilo hails from, and similar ANC municipalities collapse under unaudited debt. So it's one thing, like you say, assisting municipalities that have a low or no tax base with grants. It's a total different kettle of fish, providing grant funding that is used for inflated salaries and perks and fancy cars for mayors in these municipalities. Maybe Honourable Mabilo can assist with that. So my question to you is, Deputy President, can you confirm that any debt relief scheme will exclude municipalities that cannot produce clean audits or credible revenue enhancement plans? Thank you.
Over to you, Honourable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I think Honourable Badenos always want to throw some swipe at me. Let me respond this way. Yes, we can't resolve our problems just through grant funding. I think all of us agree. But also, I did indicate in my earlier response that debt relief funding is not forever. I did indicate, if you go back to my answer, that it can be cancelled. So if you say to me, municipalities that don't comply, what will we do with that? The answer is already there to say when there's a debt relief scheme coming in, because we need to take municipalities out of trouble, but we can't keep the relief scheme even where we can see that there is no improvement when they should. That's why government must not just come in and say, okay, you know, you owe ESCOM, we're going to help you with this debt, and here's the money, and then disappear. We just need to make sure that it's a comprehensive intervention where these resources are put to good use, monitored, and make sure that people understand that you're not going to get this relief forever. It's a relief that is there, and it means exactly that. It's a relief. It's not a permanent measure that you're going to continue to get this funding. But our objective is always to ensure that municipalities become viable. And the issue of tax base is important. We shouldn't take it lightly. And that's why I'm saying we need to also rethink our local government architecture so that we don't create municipalities where there's nothing and we think they are going to survive. So we have to rethink all that. But debt relief is debt relief. It's targeted and there must be compliance. If there's no compliance, it will be removed. So municipalities must understand that we are there to assist them. They must rebuild. We're not going to keep debt relief forever. ESCOM and water boards can't afford that. They need those resources to be able to expand services. Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to Honourable Theza.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I'm quite jovial, you know, when we speak about this issue and filled with jocundity on your responses, Deputy President, because local government is where people live, all of us. We don't live in provinces. Deputy President, the assumption of the white paper, which assumed that local government will be able to collect revenue, cannot be emphasized more. The question of the private sector owing municipalities cannot be emphasized more. The state of rurality of development of rural municipality cannot be emphasized more. Therefore, the perpetuation of the urban and rural divide that exists in terms of the funding of those municipalities perpetuate that rural divide in terms of the economic activities and therefore employment, as we saw during the local government. Considering that the Auditor General's report of 2023 to 2024, which shows that only 41 municipalities in South Africa out of 224 municipalities achieved a clean audit, while many others suffer financial mismanagement, weak controls and dysfunction, thus signaling a deep crisis far beyond sole plight. How will you ensure that any support or intervention you advocate for actually result in the functionality of that municipality and fiscal accountability rather than repeating past mistakes or failures? And do you not believe that the government's failures to act decisively on past AXA findings and refer implicated officials to law enforcement has emboldened corruption, leaving municipalities like Solplaatje in crisis we have today? If not, please elaborate, sir. Thank you very much.
You may respond, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Keza said earlier that he's full of chocolate. I like the word chocolate. What does it mean, chocolate? Oh, chocolate. Yeah, this is a matter that, you are in it. Yeah. Now, Honorable Keza, I think the points you are making are correct. We can't survive in a country with the majority of our municipalities not being on their feet or not fit for purpose. We need to check them up. And there are various measures that we must use to look at their viability. Clean audit is one of them, service delivery on the ground, leadership. And leadership, I'm not only about councillors, even the people you employ, the managers, the CFOs and all that. We need to look at all that so that municipalities can rise and be able to deal with the issues, because municipalities are the ones that are closer to the people. They are at the coal face. And I know that there's a mistake that all of us make as political parties. All of us, there's a mistake that we always make whenever there's time for people to go to parliament, provincial legislatures. A lot of the leadership goes to national, to provincial, and a few leaders want to remain on the ground. And that's something that we must deal with. We need some of the people sitting here. You should be in the councils, there on the ground. You've got the proper skills, leadership, but often we want to be in Cape Town, Parliament or provincial legislatures, and we don't leave enough strong leadership on the ground. That's something we need to deal with. I agree with you, Honorable Keza, that sometimes just to believe that municipalities have the ability to collect revenue would be far-fetched because of the nature of where they are. You find the municipality industry is not paying households. So we need to look at those issues. I think in the course of the discussion on the amendment of the Structural Act, I think let's look at these issues. How do we improve our municipalities to be viable? And I agree with you, not only Solplaki, we're dealing with the question of Solplaki, but we're not only dealing with Solplaki, we need to look at the entire country to see how do we improve the viability of our municipalities. They are very critical because that's where people are, and that people want to see improvement of service delivered there. And we must make sure that municipalities are working very well. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President, for the responses to question 23. We are now proceeding to the last question on the order paper, which is question number 24. The question has been asked by Honorable Lekhwase. It's in relation with the assessment of land restitution projects that are aimed at fast-tracking land reform and returning ancestral land to communities. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me thank Honorable Lekhwase for ensuring that we keep the land question on top of the agenda. As government, we continue to assess progress regarding land restitution projects. This assists us in fast-tracking land reform and the return of ancestral land to communities. I am pleased, Chairperson, to report that since 1996, government has spent over 58 billion rands on land restitution, acquiring 4 million hectares of farmland for dispossessed communities. With regard to Don Valley Farm, which is about 2.1 hectares, and Panderosa Farm, 770 hectares. These farms were purchased in 2008 for about 12.8 million and 8 million rands respectively. I am aware that both farms are facing serious challenges of vandalized infrastructure and have not been well managed. Through post-settlement support programs, government aims to provide support to all beneficiaries of land reform who choose land restoration over financial compensation, which I think is very important because often people just take money and go. So we are happy when people want to till the land, and therefore they need to be assisted to do so. So those who choose land should be assisted, including Don Valley and Perosa farms. We should ensure that they go back to operation. In addition, government is investing in the professionalization of CPAs, training and mentorship for beneficiaries, and partnership with experienced farmers or agri-businesses. Often, Chairperson, you find that those restitution projects or programs, rather, where people have acquired farms, you find that there are disputes and therefore we're not able to proceed properly. You find CPAs themselves not being able to manage the conflicts and resolving the disputes to be able to have successful projects. So we have to assist these CPAs, but also train beneficiaries, mentor them, etc. Because some of them may not necessarily be developed farmers, so they need to be assisted. Professionalizing communal property association is essential to ensure that restitution land is productively managed, commercially viable, and beneficial to communities. And lastly, Chairperson, as part of the implementation of the new Communal Property Association Amendment Act of 2024, government, civil society, and advisory bodies are implementing key strategies to strengthen CPA's governance and functionality, primarily through institutional support and multi-sectoral partnerships. We are investing in supporting CPAs to ensure food security and agricultural revitalization. The aim, Chairperson, is to restore productivity on restituted farms and support rural economies and ensure job creation. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We are now proceeding with the follow-up questions. The first follow-up question is from Honorable Lehwase.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to yourself and the Deputy President. DP, we must agree that the need to address the land question in South Africa remains a critical task that is central to reversing centuries of land dispossession, primarily against the black majority. However, the land restitution projects involving agricultural land appear to be ineffectual, leaving beneficiaries with collapsing projects due to a combination of factors, including inadequate pre- and post-settlement support, a lack of skills and financial management knowledge, and poor intergovernmental collaboration. Deputy Chairperson, I want you to clarify us on whether government has any follow-up mechanisms that are rooted in comprehensive post-settlement support for beneficiaries to ensure that land restitution projects do not fail, and also ensure that these projects have all necessary support systems, such as soft skills for business management and market access for business sustainability. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lehwase. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Lehwase. Indeed, government continues to ensure post-settlement support. It's very important that we should continue to do so. There is a program called Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program. It's meant to ensure that we continue to support emerging farmers in various ways. Sometimes people are given these farms, they don't have managerial experience, they're now settled with projects that needs people who have skills and knowledge of financial management, technical support, etc. So we provide them with that support because we have realized that just to give people farms or land and say farm and government moves away, they collapse. So post-settlement support is critical. Then, of course, people need access to finance. You can get a farm, well and good, government has bought you a farm, but to be able to farm needs resources. And as you farm and sell your produce, you need to be able to have enough revenue to expand your production, You are hiring people, they have to be paid salaries. So we've introduced blended finance schemes together with some of the state-owned finance institutions, particularly to help fund emerging farmers. So those are the things that we are doing, training, providing funding, etc. So we don't just give people land and farms and walk away. So at the core of this, Honorable Kwasi, is post-settlement support. It needs to be strengthened, needs to be monitored, and we must get the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Rural Development to work together in this regard. And I'm glad to say that those ministers are working together as we speak. And I was talking to the Minister of Rural Development this morning, and he indicated that he is now able to move a bit more with speed to ensure the release of land, and he will give me the figure. So we're starting to improve in, generating a bit more speed in ensuring that people have access to land. But, Honorable Chairperson, we need to support them. Let's not just give them land and walk away. Government must be there, must mentor them, must train them, and must ensure access to funding through these blended finance schemes that we have introduced. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We're now proceeding to Honorable PLENARY.
Thank you, Chairperson. Goeiemiddag, Adjunct President. Deputy President, you're saying all the right things, but in reality, the situation is completely different. Mr. Deputy President, these land restitution projects fail not because of lack of land, because of lack of training, skills development, and mentorship. And the figures are shocking with regards to what's allocated to these projects, Deputy Minister, President. Instead of threatening established farmers with land seizures, will you extend a hand of partnership and ask for their expertise? If we are serious about securing South Africa's long-term food security, Deputy President, we need cooperation and not intimidation from government. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable PLENARY. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable PLENARY, you're absolutely right. We need partnerships. I visited a place in the Free State called Bethlehem. I'm not sure if you know it. Bethlehem, Free State. And I found something very, very exciting. The black farmers, emerging black farmers, and the white farmers have partnered. And as a result, they were running a very successful farming project. They sell apples they supply your Pick and Pays, Woolworths, and also supply as far as London and Europe. And the success of their story is that they've combined their expertise and they've combined their finance. So the black farmers went to the land bank and other institutions, got funding, and the others brought in their farms that already exist, and they partnered. So I agree with you that partnership also helps. I think, if I'm not wrong, I've seen this same scheme in Mpumalanga. I just forget Lendau, Honorable Chairperson Bengiagu in Mpumalanga, but similar schemes of partnership where people come together and partner, combine finance and expertise, and they are succeeding. So government will not stop that. In fact, we're encouraging it where people can partner and bring in resources. And these projects are growing stronger. The one I saw in Bethlehem, those farmers have extended their interventions to grow their projects. I've also seen a very successful operation by black farmers in the Western Cape. I'm trying to remember what is that place called that I visited recently. So there are farmers who are succeeding, given access to finance, expertise, training, all the issues you were mentioning, mentorship, training, but also access to funding. But we need to continue our support. So I'm an advocate of post-settlement support, because I think the earlier interventions of saying, okay, we've bought you a farm, thank you, bye-bye, is not helpful. And now that we've changed the approach, I think we're going to see this working properly. Let's give people support. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. The next speaker is on virtual platform, Honorable Montwedi.
Ke a leboga modulasetilo e re ke go dumedise ke dumedise ntlo yotlhe. Modulasetilo, I come from an organization that believes that land ownership patterns should reflect the demographics of the Republic of South Africa. Any interventions that seeks to return South Africa's stolen land to our black people, we will welcome that as an organization. Deputy President, South Africa has just hosted the G20 summit, whose declaration again placed land, food security, and support for smallholder farmers at the center of global development. Yet the United States, one of the G20 signatories, boycotted the summit and continues to be openly hostile to South Africa's land restitution program, which is central to fast-tracking land reform and returning ancestral and/or South Africa's stolen land to our communities. In the face of this open defiance and interference, is your government finally, your government of the GNU, is your government finally prepared to take a firmer stance against the United States, including reviewing trade agreements to defend our land restitution program and protect our food security? Modulasetilo ke lebogetse nako mphileng yone. Thank you.
Lebogile go menagane Mhlomphegi Montwedi. Over to you, Honorable Deputy
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Montwedi, ha re leboge potso ya gago. If anything is to be said, there can never be a good example of firmness that South Africa has shown better than what we did with the G20. We were able to say to the United States, we will proceed with the G20 without you. And not only did we proceed, but we had a successful one. So there's nothing else we want to do to show that we can pressurize the US. We have done it. Everybody saw that they are not happy where they are, that we had a successful G20. But the good thing that we did as South African, we must be commended. We said we continue to recognize that America is a big economy. So we didn't say to America, go to hell. We said to America, let's work together. You can't come with tariffs that are not reciprocal. You you do all these things. We want to work with the US as a sovereign state, not a puppet of the US. We are a sovereign state, and we will work with them to the extent that they respect our sovereignty. But we must diversify. If the US administration is not playing ball, we work with other people. Despite the US not being here, leaders of the world were here in South Africa. And that's why I'm saying, if you want to understand the firmness of South Africa, look at the G20. Then you will see. And well done to our president for having led us properly. As a makwala team. But if the US want to talk to trade with us, we are open. In fact, we will send a delegation to Washington. Let's talk trade, but we can't be bullied. Thank you, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We are proceeding to the last question of the day, which is from Honorable Majola.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Deputy President, for our responses, and also to note the progress that has been made so far. Through you, Madam Chair, the Constitutional Court ordered that the claims that were launched between 1 July 2014 and 17 July 2016 were valid. The Constitutional Court further interdicted the Commission not to proceed with those claims between 2014 and 2016 until the Commission finalized those claims that were launched by the 31st of December 1998, which is 27 years, Deputy President. I haven't seen any section, Deputy, except Section 25 of the Constitution, which highlight the balance between the private land and the interest of the public. The key aspect on this section, Deputy, is two words: expropriation with compensation. I'm sure the bottleneck sitting at the court to finalize the 1998 claims, they've considered the legislative frame, the legislations and the Constitution itself when they are battling to finalize these cases. Well, that disturb the progress in terms of
Honorable Member, I just want to be lenient with you. Can you proceed to the question? Your time is actually up. Just quickly proceed to the...
So, well, to be precisely, Deputy, this disturbed the progress in terms of the land
I'm sorry, Honorable Member, you have forfeited your time.
I want to check, Madam Chair, whether...
Honorable Member, can you please take your seat? Honorable Deputy President, unfortunately, that will then bring us to the end of our questions. I thought the Honorable Member will just shoot straight to the question. Unfortunately, we've surpassed the time that was allocated to him. Having said that, Honorable Deputy President, you may take your seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. You may take your seats. Honorable delegates, I would like to take this opportunity and thank the Honorable Deputy President, Honorable Council Sueia, as well as Honorable Ramatuba, the Premier of Limpopo, as well as the Speaker of Limpopo, Honorable Makuru Pecha, the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Mamu Robela, and the Chief Whip of Limpopo, Honorable Mukhonyana, as well as the Leader of Government Business in Mpumalanga, Honorable Mashilo, the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Masango, and Honorable Ngumalo, as well as Honorable Kribi, for attending this session. We also have in our midst the the Director General in the Presidency, and thank you for honoring this sitting. That being said, honorable members, the meeting stand adjourned until next week.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.
Colleagues, have everyone been moved to the waiting room? I see we're still on in the chamber. Can we remove Parliament?